Meet John, the man who defied all odds, only to lose everything in the blink of an eye. Before we dive into this incredible story, let me ask you a question. What would you do if you turned just $500 into $5 million, only to lose it all? Sounds unbelievable, right? Well, that's exactly what happened to John, and today we're going to explore how it all unfolded, the highs, the lows, and the lessons learned. If you want to discover how to avoid his mistakes and build your own path to financial success, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a story like this. John Turner was just 28 years old when he realized that his life was on a path he didn't want to be on. Raised in a small town, John was no stranger to struggle. His parents worked hard to make ends meet, and like many young people, John dreamed of a life outside the 9-to-5 grind. But there was one thing that John didn't know: how to break free from the cycle of working hard and living paycheck to paycheck. After college, John found himself in a dead-end job as a marketing assistant. His income barely covered rent, bills, and student loans. At the end of each month, he felt stuck and frustrated. One night, while scrolling through social media, John saw a post from someone claiming to have turned a small amount of money into a fortune by investing in stocks. That's when it hit him. What if investing was the key to his financial freedom? What if, instead of working for a paycheck, he could make his money work for him? With just $500 saved up, John made a decision that would forever change his life, for better or worse. It wasn't easy, and it wasn't quick. At first, John had no idea where to start. He didn't have much knowledge of the stock market, so he began researching online. All he could find were people claiming that anyone could get rich with the right stock picks. John started investing in penny stocks, the cheaper stocks that promised high returns. He didn't fully understand the volatility, but he was convinced that if others could do it, so could he. With his $500, he bought into a few low-cost companies, hoping to catch the next big wave. At first, the returns were small but promising. His $500 grew to $800. It wasn't a fortune, but it was proof that this could work. Emboldened by this initial success, John doubled down. He sold some of his investments to buy more stocks, borrowing money from a credit card to put in even riskier companies. His portfolio grew, but so did his debt. In just 6 months, John had put over $5,000 into the market, using borrowed money, all in the pursuit of a financial breakthrough. But then, the inevitable happened. The stock market took a sharp downturn, and the companies John had invested in lost value. In a matter of weeks, John's $5,000 turned into just $500. He was devastated, but unwilling to quit. His debts were mounting, and his confidence was shaken, but he refused to accept defeat. John needed to get back on track, and he thought the way forward was more aggressive investing. But this time, he needed a plan. The mentor who changed everything. One evening, while at a local coffee shop, John met Steve, an older man who was an experienced investor. Steve had spent years in the stock market and had built a comfortable portfolio through careful, calculated investments. After talking for a few minutes, Steve noticed the desperation in John's eyes. "You got the wrong mindset, son," Steve said. "You're looking for a quick win. That's not how this game works. If you want to build real wealth, you need patience, strategy, and discipline. Let me show you how it's done." Steve introduced John to the concept of value investing, a strategy that focused on investing in companies that were undervalued but had strong growth potential. It wasn't about the next hot stock. It was about finding solid, well-established companies and holding on to those investments for the long term. John took Steve's advice seriously. He sold off his risky investments and decided to follow Steve's strategy. Over the next few years, John gradually grew his portfolio, making smart, calculated investments in stocks, bonds, and real estate. Slowly but surely, he began to see the fruits of his labor. Success was within his reach. With a new mindset and a disciplined approach, John's investments began to pay off. His small $500 investment from years ago had now blossomed into over $100,000. By the time John reached his early 30s, his portfolio had surpassed $1 million. He had diversified his investments, creating a solid foundation of stocks, real estate, and cash savings. John's life had changed dramatically. He was no longer just scraping by. He could travel, buy a home, and live comfortably without constantly worrying about money. He even started giving back, using his newfound wealth to support his family and help others who were struggling financially. His success didn't go unnoticed. John started a blog to share his investment journey, offering tips and advice for others who wanted to build wealth. His blog gained a following, and soon, John became an influencer in the financial space. The $500 he had once invested, a small amount that seemed so insignificant at the time, had turned into $5 million. John had done it. He had built his dream life, and he had done it all with discipline, research, and patience. Everything came crashing down. But as the saying goes, what goes up must come down. John had become overconfident. After years of steady success, he felt invincible. One day, he saw a promising tech startup that seemed poised to explode. The company was still in its early stages, but its stock was cheap, and experts predicted it would skyrocket. Against Steve's advice to always diversify and avoid putting too much money into speculative investments, John made a risky decision. He put nearly $4 million of his portfolio into this tech startup, convinced that this would be his next big win. For a while, the stock did go up, but it wasn't long before the bubble burst. The startup failed to live up to its promises, and its stock plummeted. In just a few months, John's $4 million investment was worth nothing. Within 6 months, his entire portfolio had shrunk to less than $500,000. John had lost everything. Owen was devastated. The dream he had built from the ground up had crumbled. He realized too late that his overconfidence and the temptation for a quick win had led him to take unnecessary risks. He had ignored the fundamental principles of investing: diversification, risk management, and patience. But instead of giving up, John picked himself up. He returned to his roots, researching, planning, and investing with caution. He diversified his investments and rebuilt his portfolio slowly. John learned that wealth isn't about making it big with one lucky move. It's about consistency, diversification, and patience. He was no longer obsessed with getting rich quickly. He was focused on building a solid financial foundation that could weather any storm. John's journey wasn't just about making and losing money. It was about the lessons he learned along the way. And his story serves as a powerful reminder that the road to financial success isn't a straight line. It's filled with highs, lows, mistakes, and triumphs. If you're just starting your financial journey, remember that slow and steady wins the race. Diversify your investments, avoid risky shortcuts, and always be patient. If you enjoyed John's story and learned something valuable, make sure to like, subscribe, and share with others. Let us know what lesson you're taking away from his journey in the comments below.